Yeah, man, that right there was a clip from a series I got a chance to watch last night. In fact, and I didn't even know what I was watching initially, but I know my family was starring in this series, HB.
Right.
So I had to stay up and watch. I haven't seen her in person in years. It's amazing to me that the first time I ever saw this woman was on Soul Train, and then she went on to do some amazing work with Do the Right Thing. She was nominated for a series of awards, for at least 3 Emmy Awards she was nominated for, even an Oscar.
Wow.
An Academy Award for Fearless. I don't know if people realize how many points she has put on the board throughout her career. And I guarantee you, when she was on Soul Train, if you said to her, hey, you know you're going to be nominated for an Oscar one day, I wonder what her response would have been. And she's here today to talk about life and her new series Now and Then, which is premiering on Apple TV this Friday. I got the sneak peek, Mike Muse, because I know people. Welcome back.
Just had to throw that out there, huh?
Flex. She's done so much for the community. She's done so much in education. I know this for a fact. Heather B, you and I have been to some of her initiatives and spoken with kids directly. She's always been dedicated to the culture. She's always been 100, and she's a boxing fanatic just like me and Horse. Please welcome her back, the one and only Rosie Perez. Rosie.
Wow.
Yo, Rich was just telling me that they got a party.
Yeah, there's a party called Rosie Perez, named after her here in New York City. People don't realize she's such a staple in New York City club culture and music culture, hip hop across the board, and you know, it's just so dope when I saw them have a party. Shout to Susio Smash and all the crew down with that, and it's a party called Rosie Perez, which is just so dope to me.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yo, what's more like to you? What's more prestigious? An Emmy, an Oscar, or having a party named Rosie Perez? You choose. Because that's the culture speaking.
That's the culture speaking, and that's where I started from.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, and they stayed with me for 30 years plus.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a blessing, and it's a compliment, and it's an honor.
It's an honor, right? I look at this, when I look at, we often, now Heather and I, and Rich Nice, we've been in the game a long time too. And I look at my younger self, and if someone was to say in 2022, you'll be on Sirius XM and have done all the things I've done, I wouldn't have believed them necessarily. I would have been happy about it, but it wasn't a part. I didn't write this down.
Exactly.
Yeah, right? So for you, what has been the key, you feel like, to you continuously finding opportunities?
Staying prepared. Believing that it will come. And staying on your grind in regards to understanding that this is entertainment, but it's a business. Returning emails, as small as that sounds, is really big. Staying in contact and develop relationships with the business people, your reps. People get, I know actors who yell at their reps or never call their reps. And I was like, I'm friends with my reps. I have a business relationship. I don't work for them. We work together. We're a team. And having all of that and just being ready when opportunity knocks. You have to be ready. It's just like a fighter. They never know when they're going to be called for a championship fight, so they better be ready. And I think that that's what it is. And also, like a fighter, is the belief. You have to believe in yourself, even when the fights don't come or the work don't come or the fights you don't want come and you have to say no. You know what I mean? I've said no many a times, but I just steadfast and I just believed in myself. I believed in a craft, and I kept working. And some projects were on a bigger scale. Some were not, but like doing 6 Broadway plays helped fine tune my craft, and I'm grateful for that. And I just kept going. I kept going, and when I do get the job, I am overly prepared. I am overly prepared. I step up to the plate. I am hitting my mark, and I say, give me the ball. I'm ready to make that shot. And I want everybody to be on that level when I work as well. And so I think that has carried me as well in the industry because, they will remember if you're not prepared. They will remember if you act like a brat. They will remember all of those things because it's cute when you're young, and when you get old, they will not give a F about you.
Facts.
Talk that right there.
Facts.
Wow.
Rosie, you talked and touched on so much. Thank you for that, because that's also inspirational coming from a woman. Just hearing that side. And you and I were talking a little bit before we went live. We know your career. We celebrated with you every step of the way. But why do you think people are so surprised to see you at boxing matches? Like, I remember my husband came home and flipped out. I was like, who was there? He's like, yo, Rosie Perez. And I was like, why is that? Like, women, why are people so surprised that you are so knowledgeable about boxing? Because you just used fighting as an analogy when you broke down all of this. Even you said be prepared for the fight.
I don't know. I don't know why people are so surprised. I mean, one, I'm Puerto Rican.
Come on.
Part of the culture. We like baseball. We like boxing.
Right.
A little bit of soccer. And, but I just grew up that way. And but the boxing community, as you know, they were a little bit surprised too. Like in the early 90s, they would see me, and I was up high in the seats, but I would always go to the pre-parties and where are you sitting? I go way up there. And then I would go to another fight and then another fight. And then they would see me at these fights that weren't televised, what are called prospect fights, where the fighters are just turning pro and they only have a 4-rounder or a 6-rounder or an 8-rounder. When you go to the big championship fights, they're 12 rounds. And when the promoters started seeing me there and I'm buying my own tickets, then they were like, you're part of the family now. And then I started getting ringside seats. Yo,
I never forget when
I love it.
Remember we were at the Barclays, Rosie, and I'll tell this story, Rosie. Sometimes I have to tell my stories 3 or 4 times before they appreciate them. All right?
Lies.
But you were the Grand Marshal in 2013 for the International Boxing Hall of Fame parade. That back in 2013, and when Conor and Mayweather was about to have their fight, they did a press thing and at the Barclays, and Rosie and I were on stage.
Oh my God!
You remember this?
Oh my God! It was terrifying. It was terrifying.
Why?
Because majority of the fans that showed up were Conor McGregor fans. They were UFC fans. And so then they bring us to, we're boxing heads, right? They bring us and they go, who do you think is going to win? And I go, well, it's a boxing match. Boo! We thought we were going to get jumped.
Jump us in Brooklyn. Rosie, I thought you owned Brooklyn. I was like,
wow. Oh my God, that was so funny. And I remember one of the guys who were doing the show, like afterwards, he goes, you looked scared. Were you scared? I go, I was terrified. Right. Are you kidding? And do you remember Conor McGregor goes on stage
does his
and he does his thing and he comes right up to me and looks at me and goes, And I went, oh my God.
Rosie was like,
hilarious.
Rosie looked over at me. I act like I didn't see it. That's Conor McGregor.
You got to get Rosie and Regina Hall together to talk boxing on Bridge Business.
Oh, y'all could have a show off
dope.
that.
They would be dope on Bridge Business with y'all. Yeah.
Her husband, Big Horse, the guy you always see me with and Rich at the boxing thing, we do a podcast called Bridge Business. It's all boxing. We got to have you on.
Oh, definitely.
That's
definitely.
okay, cool. We just booked Rosie. We cool. Interview was over. That's great though, and I love how you use these analogies.
Yeah.
Now and Then is a series. It's on Apple Plus, and I got a chance to watch it. I really enjoyed you in it. You're playing a homicide detective, and I was wondering, even from the first scene that you came in on, and you guys were coming, you and your partner were coming to observe an accident that had happened. Something even in that first moment, the facial expressions you assume gave me the tone that, okay, this is the angle I feel like she's coming at with this role. And I instantly, my favorite detective of all time was Columbo.
Oh, yeah.
Come on, man.
Peter
Y'all don't know who
Falk.
Columbo? No,
Peter Falk.
Of course.
Peter
Let
Falk.
me ask you a question. Let me ask you one more thing.
Yeah, Columbo.
That's Columbo.
That's how her character is. When you think you're off the hook, her character is so precise that there is no wiggle room. It's like you're the feds, you know. Where do you find inspiration? Where did you find inspiration for this character?
It's funny you say Columbo because I had discussed that with the director, and he went, Columbo? And I said, well, you know, like he's always surprising when you think he's, you know, messing it up. But I said, but it's not Columbo. It's not, I don't want to play Columbo. But what I want to do is take the essence of that character, not play him or anything, but the idea of that character, because he was a person. He was a personality. He was a human being, and that's why everybody kept watching it. It wasn't just about a procedural show, cop show. Everybody wanted to tune in for Columbo, not for the crimes.
Yeah.
And I said, so I want to make this character a human being, and thank you for the offer, but I don't want to accept it unless I have a full story. And he goes, really? Well, let us think about it. And I said, well, actually, I wrote something down. And I came up, and I came up with her backstory that the reason why she's so obsessed with catching the bad guys is that her brother was wrongly accused of a crime, and he ended up hanging himself in the jail cell. Oh, sure. And she has no parents, and it was just her brother she had. And so this girl who went to college for finance and then was in forensics finance, wanted always to go into homicide for that very reason. So the first scene you see me in, I'm playing 20 years younger in that scene. I was asking my daughter-in-law, she's a police sergeant, detective, and I said, how were you on your first murder case? She goes, scared to death. I said, you're so confident. She goes, yeah, every cop is confident. You have to be confident to be a cop, but you're a human being. And I was scared to death. And so I kept that with me in that scene. It's raining and I'm fumbling with the papers and I'm getting them all wet. And the director goes, what are you doing? I go, just trust me, please. And he goes, okay. And then he caught on what I was doing. I was making someone, a human being who happened to be a police detective.
Well done. I read all of that. Even in that one, it's right in that first scene. It was a nice camera angle. I noticed it. And the camera was from the other side, the driver's seat of the car, and they caught your facial expression looking at the driver who was deceased at the time. It was something in that facial expression that I went, yo, Rosie, chops are on point.
Ooh, the layers.
How difficult was it for you? Because there's a lot of time lapse in this, to go back years mentally into the mindset of somebody who's younger or even older?
It was a wonderful challenge. Like, as an actor, you would kill for a role like this. Okay. And but at first I was like, you want me to play 20 years younger? Are you crazy?
Yeah.
Don't you know I'm a woman of a certain age? Right. And he goes, you're shortchanging yourself. You could play 20 years younger. I'm telling you. And I was like, all right, let's go. And so what I had to really think about is not just her appearance, but the physicality. Like, how does she walk? You know, I'm older now, you know, my shoulders are a little slumped. So when I played her, my shoulders were a little bit back. My gait was a little wider and quicker. My maturity was different. My emotional responses were different. In regards to the insecurities that we just talked about were different. But what was the same 20 years before and 20 years later is the pain.
The pain.
It's the pain, and it's the need for justice that she will sacrifice her own personal life for it. And the director and I, Gideon Raff, he created Homeland. This is his new project. It's a very dark project.
Homeland was
yeah. And so we worked on that together, you know, and stuff, and you know, because she goes through a lot. Even 20 years later, she goes through a lot, and it was just a challenge. This whole role, like 20 years later, wearing no makeup, and having them, you know, put dark circles and dark blush on my cheeks to make me look a little more, you know, sucking in. And when I saw myself on the monitor, I went, oh, God. Like, yo, bitch, you look bad.
New T-shirt alert. Bitch, you look bad.
Rosie, this makes me think of Nia Long and something that she recently said. I think this was during a People magazine interview, and she was saying how she understands that so many of her fans are well-intentioned when they say, oh my gosh, you're ageless, you're so gorgeous at any age. But she said at the same time, it puts a lot of pressure on her because at one point she's going to get older and it's going to appear in like obvious ways. I hear the same exact compliments about you. At any point, did it make you nervous as, you know, each birthday arrived? Like, dang, y'all, I am going to get older.
Well, yeah, I'm a human being.
Yeah.
And I'm Puerto Rican. Puerto Ricans are very vain people. I mean, think about all the Puerto Rican celebrities, you know, or even sports people, you know. That's how we are. We go to the beauty parlor at 10 years old. You know what I mean? But that said, I'm okay with getting old. I'm okay with getting old because it feels good, like the wisdom and the maturity and all that thing. Yeah. Yes, it sucks that my breasts have drooped. Mm-hmm. Yes, it sucks that I have jowls around my face. I'm going to be just honest with that, you know, and I hope women listening can appreciate that. But at the same time, it is what it is. I'm not going to bug out about it. Right. You know, yes, I could fill my face with all type of stuff and everything, and I don't fault people for doing that. It's the new mascara. Okay. You know what I'm saying?
Botox.
You know,
the new mascara.
You know, and but at the same time, is that I think that the work that is coming my way is because I just let go. That I said, okay, and I'm getting roles for women who are 50 years old. You know what I mean? And you know, and I remember my girlfriend who's an actress. She goes, "Why do you tell people your age?" I said, they can look it up on Wikipedia.
And they do.
You can't hide anymore.
Hide
and I said, but you know what? It is what it is. Mm-hmm. It is what it is. And I'm supposed to play real people, right? I'm supposed to be fabricating truth, you know? And women my age look a certain way. And that's the truth of it. So I'm okay. I don't feel that pressure. Like even with at the Oscars, you know, I wanted to look great, and then my Spanx ripped, so I didn't have another Spank to put on, and like I was sucking in my stomach, you know, on the red carpet, and after a while I just started laughing, and my husband goes, "What are you laughing at?" I said, I'm being stupid. Yo, I got a tummy, okay? I got a tummy. It's okay.
Yes.
It's going to shine on the red carpet.
Hello?
Let's go.
Belly gang, come
Yeah.
on,
Yeah.
son.
I can let my stomach show now.
Let it show.
If Rosie's showing hers, I'm going to show mine.
There it is.
A tummy at the Oscars is different than a tummy sitting at a job you hate. Bitch, give me a tummy walking down a red carpet any fucking day, bitch. You feel me? How you gonna talk about my tummy and I'm at the carpet?
I'm at the Oscars.
The carpet.
My tummy's there, too.
Yeah, all this tummy.
You're watching
Two tummies.
Look at my tummy.
Yeah.
Tummy on tummy.
But there was somebody on social media said, "Damn, Rosie Perez is old," and I was like, "Yeah, motherfucker." and what?
Right.
You know, it's like, did you think I stayed the same age as White Man Can't Jump?
Right.
You
And
know?
you'll be here too.
Yeah, you know, I'm not, it's like it's crazy, and the thing is that they put that much pressure on women.
Yes.
Yeah.
They put all that
Facts.
pressure on women. Men can age, they can get a belly, and nobody blinks an eye, you know. But women, we go through a lot. So my heart goes out to Nia Long because there is pressure, and I hate women who act like, "Oh, it doesn't matter to me. I embrace my wrinkles." Shut up. You know what I mean? So why you got all that makeup on? You know what I mean? Like, let's just get real with it. Let's get real with it. We have our insecurities, you know, but at the same time, I accept my insecurities. I accept my age. I accept all these things. And I just try to stay in the best shape possible, you know, for my health, yes, but also for my vanity, to be quite honest.
You look good,
That
Rosie.
sounds like self-care to
Rosie
me.
Perez. Give her a round of applause. There you go. Everybody. Mike, get in there, Mike. I see you smiling at Rosie like you falling in love.
You like older women, Mike?
Staring at her, man. Come on, making the guests uncomfortable.
No, I mean, honestly, Rosie, I feel like I'm almost meeting you for the first time. I think listening, and obviously been following you since forever, right? I think the way that Sway introed you, it kind of made me think about how you talked about the wins on the board. And I didn't really how many wins. I was like, God damn. But then you said something interesting. You said that it was your training on Broadway that prepared you, that helped you put the wins on the board. And for me, that is a good sign of a true thespian if you come from the Broadway stage. And I have to say, you sold this show Now and Then. I couldn't say I had an interest in it, but I do now. The way you deconstructed your character makes me want to know more about your storyline and to follow that. How did the stage on Broadway help you prepare for this particular role? Because it seems very layered, and the way you broke down your gait, your posture, your stand, all that indirecting acting is really what makes a difference from good to great.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, with Broadway, you can't mess up, and if you do, everybody sees it. You know what I mean? And it's like there are times where I've failed miserably, on certain nights, and you go home and, you don't have time to beat yourself up about it, because what you have to do when you go home is think about how am I going to correct it, because tomorrow's another day that you're going to be on stage. So you better get it together. And it forces you to do the work. You know what I mean? And get better. And if you don't get better in Broadway, they will replace you.
Yes.
Understudies.
There's too much understudies. There's too much money involved. And so it's like all that pressure was good pressure for me. And and when you work, it's like when you box or when you play tennis. To get better, you got to play a better opponent than you are. And when you're on Broadway, you have people who are better than you, and you watch them kill it, and you're like, oh my God, I got to step up my game, and and you learn from them, and that's what it did. It challenged me, and it forced me to come to terms with what I was lacking.
Wow.
Wow. And, there were times like, when you're not working on your day off, I would sit there and I would just cry and cry and cry. And, my sister Carmen was, she's wonderful. And we would talk it out. And she goes, so Mama, you know what you got to do? I said, I know, but can I have a night for crying it out? And that also helped as well, because you have to release it. You have to admit defeat in order to get the win.
Yes.
You have to, and that's what Broadway did for me.
You should be a coach, Rosie.
Yeah,
you have to,
I see that.
right? Before you go, Trace, I got to ask you these questions before she go. Okay? T-Bud Crawford.
Why you always go there with me? You always do it.
Rosie about to get fired up.
Versus Earl Spence Jr. Who wins and why?
I have to say that that's the fight to see. That's going to be the fight of the decade, and it's going to be a tough call. I think that after Spence's win over Ugas, he changed the game because he was in trouble. And the way he turned it around with his trainer, Derek James, who should be trainer of the year.
Absolutely.
It was impressive. It was really impressive. If you look at Crawford's last fight, he was in trouble too.
Sean Porter.
And he turned it around. And he won that fight. He ended Sean Porter's career. You know what I'm saying?
He retired after that. That's
His
true.
father told him on international television, you messed up, So I would always pick Crawford. You know me. I'm a diehard Crawford fan, but I'm also a diehard Spence fan. And I have to honestly say, for the first time, I don't know who will win. I thought forever that Crawford would win. Now I'm not so sure. I think it will be a very, very tough fight. And Spence is bigger physically.
Yeah, he is.
Than Crawford. And, we saw that play out with Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor.
That was an amazing fight.
Even though I thought that was a draw, sorry.
I thought it was a draw too, and I was in the garden. I know you were in the garden too.
I was in the garden.
Yeah, I saw you.
Thank God I was sitting next to Dolan because he doesn't like to be on camera. I was screaming like a Puerto Rican in hell. Not in hell. Not in hell. I was like, I lost my mind that night.
That was amazing. She did amazing.
Rosie is
Serrano
hilarious, yo.
I lost my mind. Okay. So I don't know.
You
I don't know. I was actually crying at the garden like an idiot because afterwards I went over to Amanda's mother, and Amanda's mother said, you know, in her Bushwick, beautiful Puerto Rican, why they do that to my daughter? Why? Why? And she was just tears pouring down her face, and I got choked up, and I hugged her, and I said, I thought it should have been a draw, and she said, thank you, and I said, okay, gotta go. I gotta go. And then the tears were like just coming down.
Okay, George Kambosos against Devin Haney, who been on the show, was here maybe a week ago to talk about this fight.
Oh, yeah.
Kambosos has more heart than Haney, but Haney has more skill than Kambosos.
Okay.
So it depends upon, to me, that fight is who's going to show up to win that night is going to win that fight.
Okay.
Because Kambosos should have lost to Teofimo.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
He should have lost. But Teofimo thought he won the fight. You can never think you won the fight. You can never think you won the fight.
That's what I tried to tell Pacquiao when he said, I thought I won the fight. No, you can't think you won the fight. You got to win the fight. I thought I won the fight. You thought I won the fight.
No, but the Teofimo thought he won the fight before he got in the ring.
No, that's too early.
He thought it was a walkover. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That's like on Broadway. You get on stage with someone and you think, I'm gonna burn that person on stage, and all of a sudden you go, oh my God, they're killing me, you know?
And you know it.
And you know it.
All right, hold up. Gervonta Davis, Rolando, who's he playing? Who's he fighting next? Davis? Romero?
Gervonta, you don't even have to say his name. Gervonta Davis.
Okay, we ain't even got to go into that.
We don't have to go into that. That man has the sickest power right now. He has so much power. What he did to Leo Santa Cruz was devastating. It changed Leo Santa Cruz's entire career.
Yeah.
Entire career. He's still fighting, which is fantastic, but he's not the same fighter after he felt that power from Gervonta Davis.
Wow.
Gems everywhere.
Hello. Pick him up.
Okay, Rosie, thank you. I love you. I just, I've been able to talk boxing with you
forever.
It's amazing.
Sway, prepare for the interview with Rich Business. She gonna be ready.
Yeah, I know. I gotta over prepare for Rosie. Thank you kindly for joining us.
Yes.
Thank you for
this AM.
I'm glad you like Now and Then, so that made me feel really great.
Now and Then is the bomb.
Oh, thank you.
And it's a lot of episodes, so you got a lot of sitting and chilling to sit and watch that. The flight attendant, it was great. Rosie hitting them out the park again, y'all.
Let's go, Rosie.
Thank you.
What's next? You gonna be at the Tank Davis fight?
I don't know, but I hope so, because I'll be out in LA for the flight attendants for some press out there. So hopefully I can get back in time, If not, I'm going to be watching it on my phone on the plane.
There you go.
So we'll see what happens. Look at Rich. Rich, I love you.
I love you so much.
We go way back, like way.
It's my family.
Like teenage back.
Listen,
yeah.
back.
Wow.
So I got to ask, is there going to be a Rosie Perez biopic?
I don't know. Why did you ask me that?
Because we need that. Because you've
memoir
done
is so good.
much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You've done so much for the community as far as hip hop and putting people in the game. You put me on The Living Color. I would not have been on a international show if it wasn't for you. You put rappers and artists in position, and the world doesn't know. Like, there's a lot of things that you've done that people should know.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. I was in talk with one person, but I don't know. It has to be right. I don't know. It's weird.
For now, y'all, Handbook for an Unpredictable Life is one of the greatest memoirs I've ever read.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Rosie Perez, y'all. Give her a big round of applause.
Whoop, whoop.
Come on.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me.
Rosie, what was your relationship with Biggie? We're celebrating his 50th birthday anniversary. Did you have a relationship with Big at all?
I did not.
Yeah?
I did not. The only thing is that... with all due respect, we were at Def Comedy Jam. I'm in the the balcony booth right on the side.
The baller
and
seats.
he's on the other side, and he stood up when I came in. He went, "Who dat?" And he pointed at me, and I go, "Is he pointing at me?" And my girlfriend goes, "I think he's pointing at you." And he said, "Come over here." And I said, "What?" He said, "Come over here." I said, well, you think I'm just going to jump because you asked me to come over there? And he goes, I got to get that girl. That was it.
That was it?
That was it.
There it is. That's enough.
Amazing, though.
All right, that's enough. Rosie Perez, we love you, you guys.